Здравствуйте, my fair weather friends, and welcome back to another episode of Kachimuchi's Game and Spooks. In today's episode, the grand finale of the Summer of Disney, I will be narrating the final two stories in the Abandoned by Disney franchise, A Few Suggestions and Corruptus. Because A Few Suggestions is more of a setup for the following story, Corruptus, I will jump into it straight away and not give too much background detail on it. And so, without any further ado, let us begin A Few Suggestions by Slime Beast. Suggestion: we could use another person at check-in during peak hours. Suggestion: please move the hot dog cart away from the main water slide. Also, please have water slide staff keep an eye out for children who just ate. When anyone gets sick in there, 3 or 4 people have to go through it before we know about it. Suggestion: it would be nice if we had a way to give more detailed information anonymously. Maybe private meeting time with management? Suggestion: need more security at Southgate. Suggestion: music in the reptile house keeps slowing down or reversing. It's very annoying. Suggestion: please tell the mascots not to try eating in their costumes. We keep getting one with food all over its face, and we think someone's trying to be funny. The mouth opening is mesh, so eating isn't even possible. Suggestion: please fix the music in the reptile house. It's still driving me up the wall. Suggestion: guests are complaining about the amount of towels in their rooms. Suggestion: need a better or newer coffee machine for the break room. Suggestion: I wasn't going to say anything because I'm pretty tolerant, but please stop admitting children without faces. They won't stay in the guest areas. Suggestion: the common area could use a bigger selection of DVDs and games. The collection is already getting stale. Suggestion: still need security at Southgate. What's cheaper, having a staffer pass by once in a while, or painting over all the vandalism? Suggestion: Southgate needs more security. Suggestion: what are we doing about the profanities at the employee exit? Send security there more times of the day, or whatever. Suggestion: don't feel safe leaving Southgate at end of shift. Suggestion: Frank is cheating at solitaire when he thinks I'm not watching. Please do something about this immediately. Suggestion: tell the mascots to stay out of where they don't belong. One of them keeps turning off music in the reptile house. Can't tell who because of the suit. Have a meeting or something. Suggestion: please give the mascots more break time, or allow them to take short breathers during work hours. Sweat and body odor are one thing, but now we keep getting the same suit full of vomit. Suggestion: stop Frank. He's a menace. It has now spread to Sudoku. I am not making this up. Suggestion: sorry to write on a napkin, but we need more suggestion cards, or else somebody is stealing them all. Suggestion: stop the fucking music. Suggestion: I swear, all these blank kids are getting into everything. Every time I kill one of them, the others just misbehave more. I keep finding them in piles at the bottom of stairways, and they think it's funny. It's not funny. I can't get through. Suggestion: we need more suggestion cards. Suggestion: we received a mascot suit with paint on its gloves. Someone took it to the Southgate, and the color matches with what the vandal is using. Might be worth looking into. Also, where are the cards? Suggestion: costume sticking to the sores. Suggestion: it's too hard to write with these gloves on. Suggestion: thanks for the suggestion cards. Finally. What are we doing about staffing check-in at peak hours? Suggestion. Once more, sorry for the napkin, we're out of cards again. Suggestion. One of the mascots cornered me in the supply closet and grabbed my breasts. I've told Michael Sheehan about it, but I don't think he's going to do anything because I don't know who is in the outfit. I'm going to file a lawsuit if management continues to avoid my calls. This is a final notice. Additionally, please restock the cards. I suspect they were removed so you could discourage my reports. Suggestion. I'm a mouse. Suggestion. Fuck you. Suggestion. Someone's taking out light bulbs. I mean, just everywhere. The guests are getting increasingly angry about flipping switches only to have nothing happen. Suggestion. When are we getting some new DVDs in the common room? I'm not complaining because they're old movies, just that plenty are scratched and don't play all the way through. Suggestion. What's the ETA on that coffee maker? Suggestion. The vending machines on the third floor in the guest area are constantly unplugged, and the money slots are often jammed with suggestion cards. I don't even know what these cards are talking about. Suggestion. We need more cards again. Suggestion. Try to find Frank. Suggestion. I will give you clues about Frank, okay? Suggestion. Clue number 1. It's cold. Suggestion. Clue number 2. It's wet. Suggestion. We need another coat of paint at the south gate. Are you doing anything about this clown? Suggestion. Clue number 3. Flush. Suggestion. The hot dog cart is still next to the water slide, and there have been 2 more incidents involving children getting sick halfway through the pipe. This is really reflecting poorly on the resort. Suggestion. I don't think you're looking for Frank. Suggestion. Hey, I don't want to be a dick, but seriously, where are the cards? This box is pointless. Suggestion. I keep sinking into the floor. Or... Suggestion. Maybe it's just that I feel like it. Suggestion. I can't get any rest because there's too much to do. Every time I lie down, guests keep asking if I'm okay. Suggestion. I can't get my head off. 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 Suggestion. Ignore last card. It was my real head. I forgot. Suggestion. The costume is sticking to my sores, and there are more sores. Suggestion. All I am is sores. Suggestion. The costume is breathing, and if I don't match its movements, I can't get any air. Suggestion. Suggestion. Ugh. Suggestion. I keep locking the gates, but someone keeps opening them again. Please tell them to stop doing that because it lets everyone out again. And I feel that's counterproductive. Suggestion. They found Frank, and they're going to blame me. Please advise. Suggestion. Frank's face was like a bad-looking plate of mashed potatoes when they pulled him out. But when I laughed at it, everyone looked at me. Even the people with faces. which is odd. Suggestion. I have to think of what to do. Suggestion. Oh. Suggestion. I know. Hang on. Suggestion. I'm not sure if the suggestion box is the right place for this, but security isn't doing much about my complaint. Over the last couple of days, I've been circling the resort and counting the number of staffers. As far as I can tell, there are more mascots on the grounds than we have on payroll. Security says it doesn't make sense, but I think we have one extra. Suggestion. Please help. Costumes are heavy with people inside, and there's no hook left for me. The end. And that was a few suggestions by Slime Beast. The story does seem a bit random, but when paired with the following story, Corruptus, it ties together decently. There is, however, an inconsistency in the story when, paired with the original Abandoned by Disney story, kind of makes the explanation for their existence questionable. However, the next story, Corruptus, which is the finale, sort of offers an explanation for all the strange things in the past story, as well as the entire series. And so, we move on to Corruptus, the grand finale of the Abandoned by Disney series. Despite all the investigating and exposing done by the narrator, his fortunes haven't improved much, and after some very desperate means, he leaves one final message to the public at large, as well as one single theory he believes proves the entirety of his story. Perhaps by the end of this story, you may see that there's more to it than just being a simple mascot horror story. At least, that's how I've always seen it. And so, without any further ado, the grand finale, Corruptus by Slime Beast. If you really believe in something, it can be yours. That's how we've been conditioned to think. Mostly, I suppose it's a coping mechanism to keep us from eating the rich. We all think we'll be rich someday, if we just want it hard enough. How long has it been since there was a good old-fashioned culling of the wealthy elite? That probably wasn't a good way to start this blog post. I'm more than a little tired. But fuck it, I'm leaving it. Corruptus. That was the subject of an email I received before my ISP dropped me. My phone turned into a brick the same day. Hell, I think it was the same precise moment, though it's difficult to know for sure, since I only tried it after my laptop couldn't connect. Corruptus. I never heard of the word before, and to be honest, I'm not exactly sure it is a word at all. It could be Latin. It sounds like Latin. I haven't been able to look it up, and this is the first time I'm getting on the web since my unexpected removal from the grid. I tried to sign on at the local library, by the way. My card was revoked. Unpaid late fees for books I'd never read, much less checked out. Mostly borderline fetish material and self-help books for various mental illnesses. The apparently quite detailed tome on weapons of mass destruction seemed to be of the most concern for the librarian. I hung around the library for maybe half an hour, until somebody left a computer logged in and unguarded. When I went to check my email to tweet a complaint about what happened, those accounts were gone as well. Honestly, I was a pretty huge dumbass for expecting them to be there. It wasn't long before I noticed the computer's rightful user pointing me out at the front desk. I guess she wasn't a fan of the direct approach. I was out the door before anyone could cause a real fuss. It's been over 2 years since I left Mowgli's palace, and never looked back. The original blog post has come and gone so much, across so many different sites, that I can barely remember the first place I tried to host it. If I had known how far this would go, I don't know if I would have been able to hack out that clumsy, flawed account of what happened. The pressure would have been too great. And I suppose there's a certain level of comfort in the idea that no one will actually see or care about your work. It seems like a lot of sites removed the information, either upon direct request from Disney or on their own in fear of reprisal. I know a really popular YouTuber who pulled readings of my posts from his channel. The rumor was that someone threatened to sue him, some supposed author of the story. Bullshit. I know firsthand that he took it down in a bout of pants-shitting fear when he realized Disney's connection to his partner company. I tried to keep up my after-abandoned blog for a while. I don't know how many people out there saw my notes on Room Zero, Club 22, and so on. They're still around if you look, at least at the time of this writing. Yes, Club 22 exists. No, it's not a typo of Club 33. I later learned from the same contact that there's an 11 as well, and supposedly the debauchery only grows as the numbers get lower. I've heard of a Club 00, but I can't confirm that as clearly as I can with the previous contact. I also don't know if it has any connection to the room of a similar name. Yes, the door probably said characters or cast members instead of mascots. I know. I hear you all. Thank you so much for that. I'm sure your memory is crystal clear in moments of abject terror, right? Overall, I'm glad that my words have spread so far and wide. But the downside is that so few of you are taking this seriously. I can't stress this enough. Treasure Island? Real. The Utilidors? Real. Just because you can't substantiate the rest doesn't mean it's a cool story. Instead of picking apart the inaccuracies and making games about how cool it would be to have been in my position, maybe people can start taking this seriously and digging into what's going on. Maybe. I don't know. I don't want this to be a rant. I want to stay focused and make sure I post exactly what I wanted to make public. All of the stress, the stalkers, the phone calls, the broken windows, I know that's all supposed to keep me off track. They want me confused, scared, and most of all, they want me quiet. There is a team of men and women in suits that I've seen at random times, here and there. I call them the focus group, because they pop up with clipboards and pens, taking notes about everything I do. They all have the same outfit, the same thick-rimmed nerd glasses, the same red pens that just scream, "We're judging you." The first time I noticed them, they were following me through the mall. I looped and turned, trying to be sure they were following me. And there they were, every step of the way. Days later, I spotted them again in the laundromat window, across from my new apartment. I chased one down once, the tubbiest one. They stayed silent through the entire chase, and even the scuffle that ensued. When I wrenched the clipboard from his hand, I only found page after page of off-kilter random gibberish, coupled with crude Mickey Mouse silhouettes, all in the same red ink. I know, it sounds insane to say that a group of men and women in black are following me and taking nonsense notes, but I think that's the point. The idea is that it should drive me insane. And if it doesn't, you'll still think I'm crazy just for saying it. It's a no-win situation. I will forever regret that trip to Emerald Isle. But on the other hand, I'll always be grateful to the people who have come forward, anonymously, to share their experiences with me. Whoever mailed me the suggestion box from the resort is basically my hero at this point. To read what I'd written about the place and still brave the journey? Wow. I can't imagine how that felt. Whoever you may be. You even left the original corroded lock in the box, so I know it was legit. To do all that without even taking a look inside for yourself must have been really hard. Thank you. If you haven't noticed, I'm treating this a lot like my final installment. There's a reason for that. I don't know how long I can keep subverting Disney's attempts at silencing me before some sort of final action is taken. I have no doubt that somewhere, at this very moment, someone is using my identity to commit a crime that would discredit me. That, or the men in the white jackets are about to show me a lovely little padded cell. I don't know what's going to come of this, and that's the worst part, I suppose. All I know is that it's coming. So, what is quote-unquote Corruptus? Well, as I mentioned, it was the title of an email I received, one that was presumably deleted along with my account. It was blank, and seemed to exist for the sole purpose of placing an attached text document in my hands. Too bad for the powers that be. I had already printed it the moment I saw it. Not much they can do to reverse that, can they? I should have mentioned, remember that library? I used their copier to run off a few thousand duplicates of that letter. A few hundred are stapled in random places. A few hundred were passed out to random people. Then the rest. Let's leave those as a little surprise. Have fun trying to stifle that, you horrible mouse fuckers. Without any more rambling, here's the letter. Word for word. It arrived from a source whose email I won't disclose, though I assume it's an untraceable dummy account. Anyway. Summation of Corruptus incidents for January 2015. For office use only. This message contains information that may be confidential or proprietary, or protected by the attorney-client privilege or work product doctrine, intended solely for the use of the addressees named above. Any review, disclosure, distribution, copying, or use of the information by others is strictly prohibited. If you have received this message in error or without authorization, please advise the sender by immediate reply, and delete the original message. All emails sent to this address will be received by the Disney corporate email system, and is subject to archiving and review by someone other than the recipient. Violation of this disclaimer as written will result in prosecution. Please refer to official guidelines with relation to, quote, known and unconfirmed, unquote, incident reports. Respect regulation as per ongoing and or finalized designations. Known Corruptus incidents up to and including January 2015. Treasure Island. Extreme agitation / inappropriate activity within vulture population. Mild to moderate agitation / inappropriate human activity. Resolved Corruptus. Unidentified avian species. Abandoned. Final. Disney's Pop Century Resort. Misplaced and mobile objects. chronological displacement / anachronism, unresolved Corruptus, wandering entity, pending. Disney's River County, microorganism infestation, unresolved Corruptus, quote-unquote clear man, aka quote-unquote see-through man, aka quote-unquote friendly John, abandoned, final. ImageWorks, the What If Labs, 2nd floor, multiple missing persons reports regarding Dreamfinder's School of Drama, pin screen fatality, vibrating mirror sickness, unresolved Corruptus, quote-unquote wily wizard installation, abandoned, final. Mowgli's Palace, auditory hallucination and/or projection, misplaced and mobile objects, moderate to severe agitation / inappropriate human activity, unresolved Corruptus, inverted character, abandoned, final. The New Global Neighborhood, resolved Corruptus, fiber optic worm, NGN-C1, resolved Corruptus, digital howl, NGN-C2, resolved, repurposed. Room 0, sudden onset mass hysteria, auditory hallucination and/or projection, unresolved Corruptus, unknown, contained, final. Please note, Nara Dreamland is not an officially licensed Disney park, and no information or resources are to be shared with any responsible for containing its residents. A complete list of suspected Corruptus incidents and reports may be available. It took a few readings before I could get my head around this. Essentially, if the attached file was to be believed, then the events I had experienced were not part of an isolated incident. The events within Room 0, the Gascots, they all seem like part of a much larger problem. What is Corruptus? Corruption? I mean, I don't need to run Google Translate for that, even if I felt like I could take a break from writing, without the risk of someone finding and disconnecting me at any moment. Corruption of what? Dreams? Ideas? Desires? I've never been a religious man, but I was dragged to Sunday school more than enough times to know about golden calves, false gods created by man, icons, graven images, characters, mascots. If you believe in the Bible at all, and I'm not sure I do, especially not after what I've seen, then maybe God wasn't angry because people worshipped other things. Maybe he was afraid. Maybe if enough people believe in something hard enough, there's a chance it will come to be. Since we're naturally flawed beings, that means there's a very good chance such a thing would become corrupted. If you think about it, Disney's animated films have always had one overriding message. Clap your hands and believe hard enough, and Tinkerbell will live. When you wish upon a star, anything your heart desires. People like to say Disney has some connection to Satanism, but I've never bought into that. I still don't. I think they've been trying to create that golden calf, a god idol that everyone believes in, one that everyone loves. It's almost as if any dream or idea that is shared by enough human hearts and minds has a real chance of being born into the world. The creatures, if any exist beyond what I've seen with my own eyes, I think they're the deformed half-starts, random manifestations of some dark, unquantifiable non-life that seeped into our state of being. They're mistakes of reality, cosmic abortions. The corrupted. Did everyone in Emerald Isle harbor such a negative impression of Mowgli's palace? How potent was the fear of nuclear war on the day Room Zero became full? If you want to find the Gascots and mystery voices, does that search bring about the very thing you're looking for? How many children have been disappointed, confused, or scarred for life when they saw Mickey without his head? These are questions I'm never going to be able to answer. I don't know if anyone can. Speaking personally, this will probably be the last time I talk to you about Disney and everything I've learned about them. I'm truly sorry for that, especially since there's so much more I could say. Unconfirmed rumors, documents, and items that I received that now seem to be gone forever. I thought they were just trying to contain that Mickey costume. I thought that's why they went out of their way to keep the public in the dark about so much. Why they coerced and bullied to get their way. Now I realize I was wrong. It was this, all along. They didn't want anything like this getting out. I wish you all good luck, and I know I'll need the same from you. Thank you. The end. And that was Corruptus, the finale of the Abandoned by Disney trilogy. And in my opinion, this was the most fantastic way that the story could have ended. The story does a sensational job of making you fear for the author's safety after you've seen how far Disney is willing to ruin his life. You may even say he was the very first victim of canceling. And in the author's final act of revenge, before perhaps going off the grid permanently, is to discredit the Disney Corporation once and for all. If you remember how in Abandoned by Disney and Room Zero, I said in my narration that many of the unexplainable things would be explained in this finale. And I think, for the most part, it does an acceptable job of explaining such fantastical things. For example, it implies that the photo-negative Mickey Mouse was actually a hallucination, or perhaps some sort of spiritual amalgamation of the hatred from the community and the trauma of children seeing mascots without their costumes on. The Room Zero incident is also implied to have majorly been a hallucination, although that does kind of call into question why only a few dozen people would be in the park at one time and be able to hallucinate hundreds or thousands of people simultaneously. Although I do suppose that is more realistic than Disney covering up thousands of deaths all by themselves. I suppose the major twist of the story is the theory that the author presents at the very end of the story, which sort of boils down to if many people believe in something, it will, at least to an extent, come true. I'm not sure I really care for this theory because it really doesn't stand up to scrutiny. I mean, if the reason why all these creepy things happen is because everybody loves Disney, does that mean there's a Corruptus version of Mr. Bean or Tom and Jerry or the Marvel superheroes? And if not, why not? As world-renowned and beloved as Disney is, it doesn't have quite the monopoly on the hearts and minds of people as many would like to believe. Although if you were constantly being hunted and stalked by Disney executives, chances are you'd be willing to believe in pretty extreme things as well. Despite that indiscrepancy, I truly believe that this story, as well as the entire series, stand as crowning achievements in what I like to call journalism creepypastas. Creepypastas such as Smile Dog and Glitch Final Days. Creepypastas in which the protagonist is sucked down a rabbit hole of depravity and creepiness. perhaps only barely escaping with their lives. And I believe that such an archetype, combined with the very real corruption of the Disney Corporation, is what makes this such a sensational series, as you can very clearly read how the author becomes more and more paranoid as time passes on. I dare say, from now on every time I think of Disney, a small portion of me always thinks back to this story. And as I like to believe, the best creepypastas are the ones we simply can't get out of our heads. Thank you very much for watching or listening to this entire trilogy of Abandoned by Disney, as well as this episode of Kachimuchi's Game and Spooks. Why not do us a kindness and leave a comment, or subscribe, and feel free to leave any suggestions in the comments below. This has been Kachimuchi, and that's about all I have to say about that. Farewell.